guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about ruins. A lot of places have ruins, like Europe with their castles. Now the United States is much younger than Europe, but it still has ruins. And today I'm going to be talking about 5 in the state of Wisconsin alone. The first ruin is the Maribel Caves Hotel, also known as the Cherney Hotel or Hotel Hell. In the original brochure for the hotel, it mentioned fine bathing, fishing, and boating. The hotel was built by Austrian immigrant Charles Steinbrecher in 1900. He based the design off a lot of castles from Europe with its stonework, its arches, and even on one end of this hotel, it has a tower. The hotel was mostly made out of limestone from Maribel's limestone caves nearby, worked the limestone in his own limestone kiln to put the hotel together. Like a lot of inns in Germany and Austria, this hotel had a natural spring on the property, which of course they used to their advantage. Obviously, they would promote that you could go out to the natural spring and enjoy the mineral water and how it made you feel. They also used a system to bring it into the hotel for washing, for drinking, for all the needs they might need it for. After the railroad was built through Maribel, it made the hotel skyrocket. People were like, ooh. And people went there to get away from home, to invigorate themselves and relax, and who doesn't want to bathe in a natural spring? Not only did the guests enjoy the medicinal purposes of the mineral water, but there was a bottling plant built right next to the hotel, which bottled the water so they could drink it, and it was made into soda water, which was then delivered to Chicago and Milwaukee. However, beginning in 1915, the bottling company started to go out of business. The hotel itself was leased in 1931 and was in the possession of Adolph Cherney. The hotel reopened in 1981 after being bought by Jeff Miller. However, a fire broke out in 1985, and that kind of squashed any plans of using the building. It burned out a lot of the guts of the building, leaving mostly the stone walls, and that's it. The hotel, also known as Hotel Hell, has many ghost stories, people claiming that they've seen ghost children in the second-story windows, that because it's called Hotel Hell, there was a well in the property, and they would use that to make a portal to hell, like you had to do some things, that there was, like, rituals done, and, you know, there's all these theories. The current owners of the hotel do not believe that it is haunted, like, at all. And I guess it all depends on, you know, believers, non-believers, and if you're there. However, not just ghosts haunt this land. It is also rumored that gangsters liked to visit this hotel when it was still operating. When Prohibition was introduced in the 1920s, people didn't take it very well. They still wanted to drink their alcohol. So that's where bootleggers came in. Gangsters are known for their bootlegging skill. According to reports, John Dillinger was known to frequently visit the hotel on his way to Eagle River, and there are rumors that Al Capone also liked to visit the hotel. Most of the exterior walls of the building were still standing until around 2013 when a tornado broke through the area. A lot of the building has collapsed in on itself from years of neglect, tornadoes, weather in general, so a lot of the hotel is now just rubble. Here's a picture from around 2005, and here's a picture more recent. I don't know when this picture was taken, but obviously there's a complete difference into how it looks. I don't know how long this building will last now that, you know, it's crumbling. Honestly, I wish someone would have saved it before it became like this. It would be cool to just rebuild the hotel and make it a hotel again, or just make it like a museum or something. But now that it's turned basically to rubble, it probably would be too much work to put it back together again. To create the Maribel Caves Hotel, they used limestone from the caves nearby using a limestone kiln. These next ruins are another set of limestone kilns in Sherwood, Wisconsin. This site was once a thriving lime-producing company known as the Western Lime and Cement Company. From the beginning to the end, this business lasted about 100 years, from 1856 to 1956. All that remains today are the skeletons of 3 of these limestone kilns, which Niagara Dolostone, a type of limestone, was taken from the top of the hill and taken down zigzag paths with horse-drawn carriages. And it was very treacherous and not the best way to do things. Later, once, technology got a little better, a pulley system replaced these horses. They would take it off the ledge, put it in the pulley cart, take it down. The kilns were heated to a temperature of about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This caused the limestone to turn into a powdery substance known as quicklime. Wood fueled the kilns, and once they ran out of trees around the surrounding area, they switched to coal once that became more available to them. The quicklime was barreled and bagged in the copper shop, which is next to the kilns. Then it was sent out on rail cars, boats, wherever wherever the quicklime was needed. Most likely big cities like New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, all around. At the time, it was used for plaster, cement, and agricultural purposes, so they were just raking in the money. The poorer quality rock was turned into gravel. If you travel down the trail in front of the limestone kilns, there is still part of the foundation of the crusher, which would turn the limestone that wasn't as good as what they needed into gravel. As the quality of available limestone diminished, so did business. The last load of limestone to go through the kilns and be transported was in 1956. At this time, the state of Wisconsin had already bought the land. It was turning it into a state park, so it became a trail observation. The trail walks right past the kilns and what's left of the crusher. It is a very nice trail in this really pretty park, so if you want to go look at them, you can. The next ruin is a brewery and hotel that were connected to one another. According to the Wisconsin Historical Society, Jacob and Wilhelmina Melchior made a $6,000 investment in 1857 and built a 2-story hotel and brewery on 126 feet of river frontage. The hotel was built in 1861 and the brewery was added a year later. The beer made at this brewery was a lager, which needed to be fermented and kept in a cool environment. A lot of Germans at the time would keep ice from winter and, make pits and, create their own kind of refrigeration. However, the Melchiors wanted to use nature to their advantage. The Melchiors dug caves into the sandstone bluffs. Deep, cavernous caves that they could keep their alcohol in, and it would keep the alcohol at a roughly 44 degrees Fahrenheit. They built the hotel/brewery right up against these bluffs so they could go from inside the building into the caves, and they would kind of connect and keep their alcohol cold while not really having to, collect ice or make things difficult. They kind of just used nature to their advantage. They were 7 to 8 feet high and were connected by passages so they could get around and get to their alcohol. The 2 larger ones were ventilated by digging shafts through the earth and rock so that way, all the alcoholic fumes wouldn't get trapped in there. This really worked in his favor because in the 1860s, the price of wheat and, the need for it was going in the beer's favor. In days even before the Civil War, Jacob Melchior stood in the doorway and waved greetings to the steamboat pilots as they steamed north to St. Paul or south to St. Louis. Mr. Melchior gave most of his time to the manufacture of beer, while his wife conducted the hotel. These were the days when river travel was common and the lock and dam system wasn't put into place yet, so boats going down the river could just park on the side of the bank and just, stop in town or stop at their hotel and get some alcohol. Apparently, the couple did very well. The local historical society has it listed that they were large individuals with some girth to them, which back in the day was rare because a lot of people were stick humans because they didn't eat enough food or, whatever. But if you're making alcohol, beer specifically, that you can gain a lot of weight. That's what a beer belly things happen. But they were known as large individuals. So I don't know. By 1880, they were producing 150 barrels, about 4,650 gallons of alcohol. Some of it was shipped via railroad, which ran right in front of the brewery, and it was shipped to Milwaukee and St. Paul. Rumors say that it was even more popular than the beer made in Milwaukee. Ooh. It is unclear when the brewery stopped making beer. Joshua Melchor died on April 22, 1861, at the age of 61. The building survived a devastating fire that took a lot of the commercial buildings in the area in 1888. But records within the Wisconsin Historical Society suggest that they didn't last much longer because of the economic decline and just things weren't working in their favor anymore. Also, the production of beer was changing. Bigger companies, better refrigeration, small breweries were closing. The building was used as a rooming house and had occupants up until the 1960s, says the current owner of the ruins, who lives just on top of it. The ruins are at the bottom of a small hill, and he lives on top of that hill. All that's left of the brewery/hotel is two walls, an L. It still has its arching windows, and if you go inside the building, I believe some of the interior that was painted on top of the sandstone is still there, but that is it. There are still evidence of the caves that they had dug for the brewery, but not much else is left. The next set of ruins is a farmhouse. It is known as the Matz Farmstead. First settled in 1840, Cross Plains, Wisconsin is a small town approximately 15 miles west of Madison. A 1920 edition of the Wisconsin State Journal described the town as nestled in a narrow valley hemmed in by frowning bluffs. In 1842, Cross Plains had a population of 13 people. Doing well. Spatially, the village was a part of the fledgling town of Madison, but in 1847 they decided, you know what, we're our own thing, let's become a town ourselves. It had a very different influences from the many people that lived there. There was a confluence of Native American, German, Irish, Norwegian, Hungarian, and Mormon cultures. As more people converged on the territory of Wisconsin, the population of this town and many other towns skyrocketed. A governmental system was established, and the first run for officers was in 1847. 10 years later, in 1857, a flour mill was built in town. It received a 50-horsepower steam engine in 1875. It was amidst this context that the Matz Farmstead was created. After traveling to Milwaukee in 1848 from Landsdorf, Germany, Frederick Matz met up with his brother Christian and began working for the railroads to save up money to buy land. In 1852, he traveled west to Barry and did just that. In March 1865, he was conscripted into the Civil War. He was mustered at Camp Randall and assigned as a private in the 11th Infantry, Company E. He participated in the Battle of Fort Blakely in Alabama, which is known as the Big Final Battle, or one of them, of the Civil War. He was officially discharged on September 5th, 1865, so he wasn't in much of the battle itself, but he did fight in one of the last major ones. To honor the men who went to fight for the Union in the Civil War, many of the women in Barry, where his farmstead is located, or near it, they planted trees in honor of them in 1861, which of course Matz wasn't conscripted until 1865, but it honors him anyway. A few of these trees can still be seen at an intersection in town, and that makes these trees very, very old. 10 years after returning from the Civil War, Frederick built his farmstead. He lived there with his wife, Katharina, their son, their daughter-in-law, and their grandchildren. Frederick and Katharina had 5 kids total, but by the time this house was built, they had 1 living with them, but that 1 had a wife and kids, so ain't a child anymore. The family lived there for a very long time. This house went through generations of the Matz family, and unfortunately was destroyed in 1948 because of a house fire. This house was built in 1875. Generations of the Matz family lived there until 1949. Wow. Nice. If a house fire had not occurred, they probably would still be living there. I believe some of the Matz families still live in the area, but of course the house, once it kind of burned, they either didn't have the money or just decided they just couldn't fix it. What is left today is an outbuilding, most likely used for storage, and the main house. A few of the walls are still standing with the windows that were originally there. The inside of the house is basically gutted. It's mostly just the stone outer walls, probably the original walls, built in 1875. The last ruins I'm going to be talking today were part of a sprawling complex that no longer exists. About 50 miles west of Milwaukee is the Paradise Springs nature area. It has a natural spring, beautiful walking trails, and its own ruins. The spring, located in the nature area, is about 5 feet deep and maintains a temperature of about 47 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Over 30,000 gallons of water flow from the spring each hour. That's 500 gallons each minute. Paradise Springs sits in a bowl-shaped depression where the water table reaches the surface. This land has been owned by many different owners. Documents and historical memoirs identify L.D. Nichols as one of the first owners of Paradise Springs. He owned it after the 1880s, and by 1900, supposedly he had a circus background, which I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it's cool. He used his newly purchased land in spring to raise monkeys, peacocks, and pheasants, and rear brook trout, which were actually still in the area until recently when a dam in the area broke and all the trout moved downstream. L.J. Petit Salt Company owner and Wisconsin National Bank president Louis J. Petit owned it next and appreciated the natural beauty and used it to his advantage. He became the owner in 1927 and really took the land in a whole new direction. He built entry pillars with eagles on the top. That's sick. Eagles. There is a horse track for horse racing and just riding around, a 9-hole golf course. There was shuffleboard and tennis courts. There was the spring house, which was built over top the spring to protect the water, and, if you wanted to use the spring for yourself, it's kind of like an enclosure. There was also a wading pool built, which he basically made it into a leisure park. With Lewis's death, it passed to a few other owners. An area of great natural beauty became one of great lucrative beauty. Now, of course, after the first guy was just raising peacocks and dealing with trout. Then the next guy comes along, and now we got a wading pool, we got shuffleboard, we got cool pillars with eagles on them. But these guys, next few, took it more into making money. Paradise Springs became known as the first-rate bottling plant of Eagle Rock Springs water, Lullaby Baby drinking water, Mananaha water, and natural spring water. It had a luxury spa, and Paradise Springs Hotel was constructed in 1937 or 1940. The 2-story hotel included a cocktail bar, elegant dining room, roof garden and sun deck, spacious bedrooms, each with private steam-heated tile baths, thick exterior walls built of dolomite from the Lannon Springs quarry. They could stay in the hotel, savor the bottling plant's healthy drinks, re-energize in the spa's healing waters, play shuffleboard and tennis, horseback ride, hike. It was basically paradise. Paradise Springs. However, things went into decline with economic, political, environmental, just a lot of factors put into it, but eventually the bottling company closed its doors in the 1960s. The hotel closed in 1948, and it was torn down and removed in the 1970s. The only remnants of any of this is the spring house, which is still there today. Its window glass is gone, it's all bent up. There is still a domed copper ceiling, which is pretty cool, and the stonework is really beautiful. It's still over top the spring. It's desolate. People do, it is on a trail, so people do take pictures with it. There is some graffiti, because there always is. But that is the only remnants of the really artistic history of this land and how much shit has been on it. All these ruins are throughout Wisconsin. A lot of them I noticed are near the Milwaukee-Madison area. Because why not, I guess. I don't know. I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about. I'm a person who loves history, and I just like castles, and ruins I think always are intriguing because sometimes you don't know the history of the ruin. You just find it and you go, what was this? What could it have been? What are the stories the walls hold? Sometimes you don't know. These 5 we kind of do know. Some of them are just walls remaining. Some of them are full-on buildings. But a lot of it has been left to history and is left to be destroyed by nature, which I think, it's not the best way to do it, but nature reclaiming the land is kind of cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun researching it. I didn't know there was this many ruins in Wisconsin. I'm hoping once it gets warmer outside, maybe I could visit a few of these, go on a road trip, because why not? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be back again on Wednesday with another video. Alright, I'll see you next week. Bye!